Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Here we are again, as you guys seen in the description. Today we're going to be working on some wiring. So if you guys watched one of my first videos on this channel, I posted, that I had a lot of wiring problem with this car in the past. And this is one of the things that has really intimidated me the most on this build. And I haven't really messed with it because I kind of don't want to mess it up to the point where I can't run it anymore and it's going to cost me more money. So all in all, I pretty much got like $2,000 of worth of wiring work in this car, and I definitely don't want to put in more than that, so that's why I didn't go with anything fancy like rye wire or anything like that, because it was going to just jump my price even more. So today I'm going to show you guys a little bit of the ugly of this car, the basically what what you hide, from other people from seeing. So I'm gonna try to go in there and try to clean it up for you guys and show you guys a little bit of how the wire tuck is on this thing. It's not gonna be a how-to because it's pretty much already done. I'm just gonna show you guys basically the basics. There is no right or wrong way. All you gotta do is, use your mind and make sure it's gonna work right for you. The main thing is you just gotta, maybe drill a hole to push some of the wires through, or run them through the little plug for the speaker wire in your door. Let me take off these fenders and I'll kind of show you guys a little bit more of what I'm talking about. Alright guys, so here I have it already without fenders. The wires are exposed. This side is the worst. And like I was saying, if you guys can see here, you could just push the wires through the grommet right here where the radio speakers wires go to. And like I said, there's no right or wrong way to do this. You can honestly just drill another hole, and maybe if you find a grommet that fits in there, it will probably work out pretty good too. And finding a grommet is probably the best thing to do, because you want to have a little bit of cushion from all the flexing and everything while bouncing around, because you don't want that sheet metal to end up cutting your wires and then you end up losing your loom. So you don't want to do that. So basically today, I'm just gonna clean this up, make it look 100 times better. Like I said, I've been neglecting this because it's one of those things that it kind of intimidates me, and I don't want to mess it up and make it worse. So I did get on eBay and order some of this wire loom material. I think it's called like Expandable wire loom or something like that. I'll have the link on the description and everything. So basically, you could just tuck all your wires in here. It looks pretty narrow, but it actually expands pretty good. Let me see if I could show you guys. So basically, this expandable wire loom is pretty neat because if you push on it, it actually expands. And I think this one was rated to like 1.5 inches of expanding. So as you guys can see, it goes from being narrow down here to pretty wide up here. And that gives you the ability to tuck all your wires in. And I think this one was a 3/4 one. So it's pretty narrow, so hopefully it ends up pretty tight on all those wires. So I think this should work out pretty good for me. Another thing I actually ordered was some of these zip ties that have like a little connector on top. So basically like a little push in. So now I could just go in here and drill a few holes, and then these will just clip in there, and I could just loop it in. And then what's pretty neat about these, so they have this little clip. If you guys can see this little clip, that basically lets you release your zip tie. Let me see if it works. So if I pull on the little clip, it releases the zip tie. So that's pretty neat. That lets you come in here and play on your loom if you need to again. So the only concern I kind of have right now is I'm gonna have to do multiple pieces of the loom, that expanded loom, because I have these connectors, that are mounted here and grounded here, so it's got to be grounded. So I gotta be able to put a few pieces just so they're still exposed and connected to ground. And then other than that, I think it should work out pretty good. Like I said, it kind of looks like a mess. because I have wires just hanging here. So I'll probably, you know, tape these up a little bit just so it looks a lot cleaner. And then with the final loom, I think it should turn out looking pretty good. So I got a pretty good mess here now. I pretty much got everything untangled. So I've been having a problem with this turning signal and the corner light, that they wouldn't light up, and I found out the reason why, and it was because the ground wasn't hooked up. So I cut open everything because, you know, they were extended, so I'm sure over time it probably broke. But yeah, so luckily I'm in here now, so I'm gonna fix it. And I had, you know, said that my radiator wire wasn't, you know, I couldn't figure out which one it is, and I had one of you guys on Instagram reach out to me and show me the little connector, and I can't find that wire. It's a little green one with like 2 little silver dots, and I still can't find it. But for now, I'm just gonna leave it as it is, you know, let it be what it is. I'll just run the fan constantly. You know, I guess in the summer it's actually worth it because it keeps it cooler. But yeah, so now let me get this, you know, soldered up. I'll show you guys little tricks. You know, it's nothing too crazy. So the best thing to do when you want to solder is get you some of this flux, little paste. You know, I'm not 100% sure what's called, but you guys can see here. So basically it's like a little wax. What I like to do is just dip my wires, as you guys can see there, and get them all tangled up, and then soldered it up, and all the solder goes all into the wires, and it connects everything all into one. So I'll do that once this thing's ready to go. Alright guys, so here we have the wires. As you guys seen already, I had already dipped this one into the flux. So now I'm just gonna intertwine it with this other one, the one I'm extending it with. So I'll kind of get them to like hug each other. You know, you want to kind of get them to hug into each other, and then I'll dip it into the flux again. That way it's nice and coated, and then the soldering, the little solder will grab onto this pretty good. It melts pretty good. So now I got some nice and hot there. And all I do is just basically just rub it against this. And you see it's nice, it's getting nice and coated. So now we got a perfect solder, you know, it went all the way through. And that thing's solid. Now I'm gonna do the same thing to this side. And that's how you get a perfect solder in my opinion. Alright guys, so right now I got all these relays and they're all separate. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna tuck these under the dash. That way I don't have so much crap to worry about down here. Alright guys, so right now I just realized again, you know, I plugged it in once again just to make sure everything was good, and I just realized that this corner light, the front piece is blinking. When I ground it, the back one blinks. And then on the other side, the back one's blinking, but the front one's doing nothing. And so I'm thinking the bulb is probably bad. So I'm gonna run to AutoZone and get a set of those bulbs and see if I can figure this out. So I want to make sure they're blinking correctly. You know, before I wired it all up, tie it all up. So I just got back from AutoZone. Got me some corner lights, brand new little bulbs. And I also got me some Loom. I'm gonna throw this in there too, might as well, just to keep it more protected than just the little mesh. Give it a brand new one too. That way it looks nice and clean. I was there, so might as well got it. And let's change the bulb, see if I can get this figured out. There it is, back in action, so I got them all figured out. Alright guys, so this is what I have so far. It already looks so much more cleaner. I basically, you know, just organized it pretty good and just put a few spots with tape. That way it won't have so much tape. And then, you know, down the road, if I end up having a wiring problem or anything, I don't have to remove as much tape as I did this time. Like I said before, I don't drive this car too much in the rain. Well, I mean, if I do drive it in the rain, it's because I got caught in it. It's not that I chose to. So I think that should work out pretty good. Now I'll just throw this plastic Loom on it. So if you guys can see, I pretty much use the same concept on the engine bay. You know, like I said before, you know, I spent so much money in this wiring that kind of, you know, I didn't want to be spending more like on a rye wire, so I just, you know, got a little bit creative and decided to do a little a wire cleanup myself, you know. So I did order me some of that expanded Loom, and you know, I think I ordered like a 2-inch for this one, and then just cleaned it up just so it looks nicer and everything's tucked in there. And then also I mentioned this in my CRX engine bay shave video, that all it is one of those little universal boots for the shifter. So that's what I did there, and you know, it worked out pretty good. I figure since it has bushing and I made the hole pretty decent and it sits on there, and you know, any vibration they'll catch it, and it looks pretty good. You know, it's all about being creative sometimes. I think a wrought wire wire tuck harness is running you maybe $1,200. You know, I'm not 100% sure, and I definitely didn't want to do that anymore. But you know, it turned out pretty clean. And then, you know, with my shield in here, you don't even see my fuel rail, so it makes it even cleaner. But yeah guys, if I bring you guys in here into the, you know, if I bring you guys in here, it's a total disaster because everything's just crazy in here. I do need to take the time and really basically break out all the Loom in here and clean it up myself, you know, because it's been wired, you know, it's been redone, it's all been converted to OBD1, so you know, there's plugs everywhere. And you know, I think one of those things, I think that would be one of those things where you just take off the dash and just sit here and spend a full day, you know, just trying to clean it all up. You know, it's not the worst, but it's definitely a mess to me. Like, I could probably delete a lot of wires, like all the heater and everything, so I probably just need to find, you know, a pin out of the CRX. That way I could really sit there and eliminate all the wires I don't need and just make it a lot cleaner. Since I have no AC, that's probably, you know, half the wires underneath that dash. Alright guys, so here I'm gonna show you guys how I start the process with the expandable mesh. You know, it's nothing too crazy, but this is the way I do it. You know, I don't think there's a right or wrong way. But let me open this up. Also, when you cut this thing, you always want to cut bigger than you need. That way, if it does kind of shrink on the way, you actually did, you know, more, because sometimes when it expands, I think it gets shorter. Yeah, so if it like expands on something, it might get shorter on you, and it's better to just have a little extra. So I took about 5 inches in here just so I could have extra, like I said. So now I'm just gonna cut it right here, and then we should be ready to get it started. If you push on it, you guys can see that it kind of gets bigger to about 1.5 inches. And you see that this is the reason why I do it the way I do it, because the edges get real ugly and you kind of don't want to have that showing or anything. So you always want to start by putting in the parts, you know what I mean? So basically what I'm doing here is just driving it in, and then I'm gonna do the same with every other piece. Kind of start pushing it in, and as you see this is getting bad, so the edges are getting bad, you know, it's kind of falling apart, so that's why it's good to have extra too. Basically like a snake eating something bigger than its size. You kind of want to just, you know, get it wider and try to get it to slide in. So you guys can see that little edge got caught on there, so it kind of screwing everything up. So what I'm gonna do right now is just cut all this part that, you know, broke loose when I was pushing it through. If I could get it all out, that way, you know, I could start pretty much with a fresh start. Alright, so now that I have it where I want to start, and I cut off all the bad stuff, if you guys can see here, what I'm gonna do is start by taping it up right here with all this broken fibers inside the tape. So if I started right here, I kind of want to wrap the tape around it, basically over it, and let the fibers stick in. And you want to let the broken fibers stick inside towards where you're going. Alright, so there I have half the loom already on there. And then now for the fun part, and pretty much the easy part, basically all you want to do is get this to roll over. You want to get it to roll over, and then you can just slide it over. Nice and easy. You guys see that? So now you guys can pretty much just push it over, and you just keep sliding it. Alright, so here we have it. Nice and clean. 100 times better than what it was. It's gonna actually be nice and clean now. I don't have to worry about thinking some mess or something's gonna burn out down here. So the factory already has some holes, and I think the clips actually work on there too, so this turned out to be like it was meant to be, kind of. All I need to do is run zip tie. And there we have it. Nice and clean. There's another one right here. Basically exactly where I need it. So it turned out easier than I expected towards the end. It was a good thing. Well guys, like I said earlier, you know, this job to me was a little intimidating, and I don't want you guys to feel the same way, because you know, this car's been tampered with so much, so you know, it pushes me into a position where I don't want to be messing with the wires and break something and then the car doesn't start, because you know, as of now, you know, the car might not even start, you know, because I messed with something. So you know, it comes down to, you know, make sure, you know, your car is nice and clean, every wire is good, and then it should be an easy job. Like I said, you know, there's no right or wrong way. All you got to do is make sure, you know, you solder everything right, connect everything right. That way you won't get any fuses burnt or anything like that. What really makes a wire tuck easier is not having the components for the AC and the heater inside under your dash. It gives you room to where to hide everything, you know, your fuse box and everything. And you know, like I said, I got a total mess in there, so I'll leave that for another day, another good day when I have time to really take the dash out and really go through everything and get out all the wires that I don't need. But yeah, let me put this thing back together and we should be done. Or maybe give it a start just to make sure it starts. Well guys, there she is, all done. Put her all back together. You know, all in all, this job is pretty easy. It wasn't bad at all. I mean, I could have probably just gotten away with the way it was, but you know, it was in the back of my head that I wanted to, you know, make it a little bit better. So that's what I did. And hopefully you guys learned something from my video. You know, like I said, it's nothing too crazy, nothing too intimidating. Just go for it and, you know, get you a soldering kit, some wire, extend those wires and make it work. You know, it's nothing hard. So I'm gonna leave a link to the zip ties I use, and also the expandable loom. That way you guys could get out there and order some if you guys want to do, you know, go with that route. And also guys, stay tuned for more. So something me and my brothers used to do all the time, you know, when we had time, is we would search around for mini bikes. So you know, I was thinking, you know, maybe, you know, we could start introducing maybe some mini bikes into my channel, because you know, who could go wrong with a little mini bike? You know, you get on a mini bike and you forget you're an adult. You know, these things are stress relievers, kill depression. No matter what it is you have, you get a mini bike and go, you know, go do some crazy stuff anywhere and you'll have a good time. So me and my brother, you know, been searching for some, and as you guys can see here, I got this Baja Warrior, I got this antique, I think it's a Roop, and then he's got this other little one, I forget the name of that one. But you know, the cool thing about these things is that you could build these things for dirt cheap. You know, if you go to Harbor Freight and get yourself an engine, you know, you could build these things on a real budget. So I'll be showing you guys how to do that. That way you guys could have one, you know, maybe your next car show, you guys could pull up with a little mini bike and have a good time there, you know. That's probably what I'll end up doing, just probably fixing them up and throw in the back of the CRX or something, just go out there and have some fun when I'm out there. Like I said, you can't go wrong with a mini bike. So let me know down below if you guys think that's a good idea, if you guys want to see, you know, some mini bikes in the channel. But yeah guys, other than that, you know, I appreciate everybody watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and until next time, peace.